11 minutes to touchdown. Communications now through the Merritt Island Tracking Station in Florida.
Discovery, take TACANS, take GPS.
TACANS, GPS.
Under 5 minutes from touchdown. Views of Discovery now as it approaches the Kennedy Space Center from the southwest. Altitude 55,000 feet, range to the landing site 68 miles. Or 32 miles. Altitude again down to almost 50,000 feet. The sync rate is about 260 feet per second. Under Lee Archambault now flying Discovery. Approaching the imaginary heading alignment cone or cylinder as he begins a 260-degree turn. Twin sonic booms announcing Discovery's arrival in the landing site. Tony Antonelli, the pilot of the vehicle, now taking his turn for a few seconds, flying Discovery around the heading alignment circle.
Discovery, on at the 180.
Discovery copies, on at the 180.
Pilot Tony Antonelli now handing the stick back to Commander Lee Archambault, who now has control of Discovery for the remainder of the flight.
Discovery, on at the 90.
On at the 90.
19,000 feet in altitude, range 11 miles from the runway. Discovery's velocity is down to 400 miles per hour.
Discovery is on and on.
Copy, on and on. Runway's in sight.
Discovery, copy. Runway in sight.
About 1 minute to touchdown. Altitude 5,800 feet. Commander Lee Archambault beginning to flare the nose of Discovery up for final approach and landing. Main landing gear is down. Main gear touchdown. And nose gear touchdown. Space Shuttle Discovery is rolling out on runway 15 at the Kennedy Space Center, completing 202 orbits of the Earth while traveling 5,304,000 miles. This landing marks the 70th shuttle mission to end at KSC. Discovery spent 8 days docked to the International Space Station, leaving behind the first Japanese long-duration crew member and also leaving it more power capability, setting the stage for an increase to 6-person crew in late May. Sandy Magnus, mission specialist, now aboard Discovery, home after 134 days in space, 129 of those aboard the International Space Station. Discovery is completing the 36th voyage of its life and the 125th Space Shuttle mission in the history of the program.
Houston, Discovery's wheel stop.
Houston copies, wheel stop. Welcome home, Discovery, after a great mission to bring the International Space Station to full power. Special welcome home to Sandy after living and working on board ISS as a member of Expedition 18, and to the entire crew of STS-119. Great job, everybody.
Discovery, thank you very much. It's good to be back home.
Discovery, we have no post-landing deltas. We'll meet you on page 5-3 of the entry checklist.
See you there.
Discovery Houston, we'll take rad reconfig on page 5-8.
Rad reconfig on 5-8 in works.
Good copy.
Discovery, APU high shutdown on page 5-9 is going inward.
Discovery, we're ready for APU hide shutdown. And Discovery, we are go for extended power up.
Discovery, go for extended power up. We are complete with 514 and 515. I'm turning the page to 516.
This is Mission Control Houston. Post-landing activities still ongoing, even while we were enjoying the various replays of Discovery. This is Mission Control Houston while post-landing activities continue on the runway at the Kennedy Space Center following Discovery's 13-day, 5.3 million mile journey. The confirmation has been received that all 7 crew members now are off the vehicle. Lee Archambault, Tony Antonelli, Steve Swanson, Joe Acaba, Ricky Arnold, John Phillips, and returning expedition crew member from the space station, Sandy Magnus, after 134 days in space, are all off the vehicle in the crew transport vehicle. They'll be going through some routine medical checkups. The vehicle will back away from the orbiter, and then some of the crew members will when the opportunity arises, we'll take a walk around the vehicle, a traditional walk around the orbiter on the runway. Discovery's mission ended at 3:13 this afternoon, Eastern Time, with a landing on runway 15, completing Discovery's mission.
Here at NASA's Kennedy Space Center, Space Shuttle Discovery is on Shuttle Landing Facility runway 15 after 12 days, 19 hours, 30 minutes, and 15 seconds in space. The astronauts performed 3 spacewalks while at the station and delivered a 4th and final set of solar array wings and the S6 truss. The mission also took up the replacement unit for a system that converts urine to drinking water and delivered the first Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's resident station crew member. The return flight brought home astronaut Sandy Magnus after 129 days in orbit. The 7 astronauts have now moved from Shuttle Discovery into the crew transport vehicle, or what's called a people mover, while a convoy of more than 30 specially designed vehicles and a team of about 135 trained personnel conduct the recovery operations. With me today to discuss these operations is Mike Kuda, the manager of Integrated Landing Operations for the United Space Alliance. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
Could you give me a little bit about what's going on down there at the shuttle landing facility and what these operations are?
Okay. Currently we're working the OMI, the Operation Maintenance Instruction Procedure, which is Su-28, that performs all the post-landing convoy operations on the runway. In the forward portion of the orbiter, you can see to the left of the screen, we have the flight crew destow vehicle that will mate up to the white room vehicle, which is currently being blocked right now by the crew transport vehicle. As you mentioned earlier, crew egress is now complete. Once the CTV backs away, the flight crew equipment vehicle and payload destow folks will go into the crew module and start removing some of the time-critical payload destows.
And we're standing by as the astronauts are now departing the crew transport vehicle. So, being greeted by Associate Administrator Chris Scalise, the NASA Acting Administrator Chris Scalise, Associate Administrator for Space Operations Bill Gerstenmaier, Deputy Program Manager for the Shuttle Program, Leroy Kane, Deputy Center Director for Kennedy Space Center, Janet Petro, Shuttle Launch Director, Mike Leinbach, Director of Shuttle Processing, Rita Wilcoxon, Stephanie Stilson, the Vehicle Flow Director for Space Shuttle Discovery,
Hi, I'm Lee Archibald from the STS-119 crew, and we're very happy to be back here in Florida. We want to certainly thank all the people at the Kennedy Space Center for, number one, getting Discovery ready for launch, fighting through some technical issues before we launched, but they got us ready and they got us launched safely. We had a very successful mission. We're very proud that we were able to bring up the S6 truss, the final power segment for the International Space Station, and we're very, very happy we were able to bring Discovery right back here to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So to everyone at the Kennedy Space Center, thank you very much for the great job leading up to the launch, and thank you very much for coming out here today. Take care.
the crew of Space Shuttle Discovery's STS-119 mission and checkout building.
And post-landing convoy operations continue on the runway. Approximately 2 hours since landing occurred, and we have probably another hour and a half to 2 hours to go prior to picking up with tow operations to the OPF.
And as you can see, the astronauts are now departing the shuttle landing facility. This concludes NASA's television's continuous coverage of the STS-119 mission. We expect to have a crew news conference with Discovery's astronauts about 5 or so hours past landing time. Please join us at no earlier than 5:30 p.m. Eastern for the post-landing news conference. Again, welcome home, Discovery.